Good morning and thank you for joining us. My name is Donna Miller and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Purse Power. Purse Power is working to help women use their massive purchasing power to drive positive change. We believe that if women who make 80% of all purchasing decisions would choose to buy from the companies that actively promote women, and if we create a funding stream for battered women's shelters at the same time, we could shatter glass ceilings and change lives. So that's what Purse Power is trying to do. We do this show every Friday at 10 Central, and I post every Friday show on Monday morning on our website at pursepower.com. We've done about 85 episodes. If you'd like to go to our website and see lots of fantastic speakers with a lot of great information to share, please go there. Let's see. All right. So let me go ahead and introduce Marti and we'll get started. So Marti Barletta helps organizations get smart about marketing to women. She is the author of the groundbreaking book, Marketing to Women, which is now available in 15 languages.
And 27 languages.
27 languages. Okay, I've got an old bio. And now, did you co-author that with Tom Peters?
No, that was my original book. There was another book I co-authored with him.
Okay,
called Trends.
Trends. Okay, there we go. In her book, PrimeTime Women, How to Win the Hearts, Minds, and Business of Boomer Big Spenders, she breaks the story on the unprecedented buying power of women in their prime, ages 50 to 70, and details why this silver bullet segment is the prime source of business growth for the next 2 decades. A Wharton MBA, Barletta founded her consulting think tank, the TrendSight Group, to help companies pull ahead of the competition by boosting their marketing, sales, recruiting, and retention effectiveness with women. Using her proprietary gender trends model, they generate ideas that connect with women consumers, corporate executives, and business owners. Her firm's clients have included companies like Wachovia, Neuberger Berman, Deloitte Consulting, Volvo, Mercury, Ford, Trade Secret, Toys R Us, and Logitech. And she currently serves on a number of advisory boards. She's also a member of the Women Presidents Organization and certified by WeBank. She's also in the news a lot, talking about marketing to women, and she's been on shows such as CBS Evening News, ABC Monday Matters, MSNBC's Squawk Box, and NPR's Talk of the Nation, as well as in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Fast Company, and Business Week. She writes regularly for Ad Age, Marketing Profs, and the Boomer Project, and she also advises companies and shares her expertise in speaking engagements with audience that find her enlightening, entertaining, and actionable. So thank you so much for being here, Marti. I really appreciate it.
It's my great pleasure, Donna. It's delightful to be here.
This is going to be fun. All right.
And can I just say how much I support what you're doing, the power of the purse, and good heavens, if women ever did unite all of our power, we could, as we should, run the world.
Agreed. Absolutely. I'm totally with you. We couldn't be more aligned. All right. So tell us a little bit about your background. Give us an idea of your life and career this far.
Well, I grew up all over the world because my father was with the State Department. And so I think that's what got me interested in different cultures and the fact that different people had different ways of doing the same thing. And so when I was when I came back to the US for college, I always kept that interest. And I thought, well, a good application would be to go into business. I got my degree in economics. You mentioned Wharton, and was in brand management and corporate for about 20 years. And then I decided to launch my own business. And I did that about 22 years ago. And so it's been split between corporate and entrepreneurial. I should have launched my own business way earlier than I did. I sort of can't see going back to corporate at any point anymore. So I got interested in marketing to women when I was working at my last corporate job, and we were looking for a business building initiative to promote the agency actually that I was working at. And we thought, there's a lot of interest in marketing to women. And this was, 15 years ago or something. There was a lot of interest, but there wasn't enough, because as I did the research, what I found is though everybody understood that women buy most of the little things for the house, the grocery store stuff, the drugstore stuff. What most people didn't know, including me until I did the research, was that we also buy most of the big stuff too. And the stuff that when people say women influence the purchase of, we need a new English word here, Donna, because influence is like, yeah, I like it. It's okay. Okay. I think maybe blue better than green. No, that's not the kind of influence we're talking about here. We're talking about influence before the fact, not after the fact. By before the fact, I mean, oh, sorry, I'm already into my material, aren't I? I'm lecturing. Sorry. So I got interested in it. Most people didn't know how about women's economic power. Most people, only thing they knew about marketing to women was women are all about relationships. There are half a dozen books out there that said women are all about relationships. Marketing tip, be nice to them. Oh, good advice. And so I thought maybe people would find it helpful to have a little bit more than that. And I had a lot of marketing background from a lot of different areas. I had all the research on marketing to women, and it's been very well received up to a point. People are very interested in marketing to women on a project by project basis. To the best of my knowledge, with the possible exception of Unilever, there is no company that has said, my future depends on women. I am now redoing my entire focus to align with my primary buying group. It's a novel concept, but I thought it would have happened before now in a lot more industries. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I certainly do. We've got a ton of power, and I wish companies understood it. I wish women understood it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I tend to go off on various tangents. That's enough for people to know about me. Ask me your questions.
Okay, so in your book, PrimeTime Women, you focus on the golden bullseye of the women's market, and particularly this age group. Thank you. I've got that book around here somewhere. Yes, indeed.
There we go. Is it in focus? There we go.
Yes, it is. Okay.
All right.
So please tell us more about who these women are and what they want most. And by the way, a good portion of our audience is in this age group.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I wrote the book, I think that the frustration was people would ask me, what women should we focus on, Marty? The women, they're not a niche, Marty, even though we call them that all the time. They're not a niche. They're 50% of the population. So which ones should we focus on? And I know they all expected me to say young women, because marketers like to think, get them young and they'll never buy a competitive product again. Where they got that idea, I'm not really sure, but it is still a marketing convention to believe that if you get them young, that's where you want them. As a matter of fact, it's ridiculous, because we all know that we change and try brands in most categories all the time. So I said, no, as a matter of fact, the people that are the most valuable to marketers are primetime women who are 50 to 70 years old. I mean, that's a flexible bandwidth, obviously. And the reason it's important to distinguish that is that the only concept that marketers had of older customers was called 50 plus, or the senior market, or the mature market. And surprisingly, nobody wanted to market to the senior market. Well, if you're going to call them the senior market, that's part of the problem. So I started calling them primetime women for two reasons. One, they are this is the prime time of life for marketers to market to, because they spend more money than any other segment. And somehow marketers had talked them into believing that once you hit 50, or as marketers say, 54, since anybody who's in marketing knows that it's 25 to 54, 54 was the magic cutoff point, and then the only other option was 50 plus. And everybody who was 50 to 95, anybody who was 50 to anything was lumped into that. And the fact of the matter is that in the last 50 years, as longevity has extended, we've got a great big chunk in the middle of life, a new chunk, a couple of decades there, where everybody still feels a lot of energy. And here's the key. We, at about 50-ish, is when parents, specifically mothers, see their kids starting to, explore away from the nest. And so they start, what the mom gets is an incredible bonus in more time, because now people think that happens when kids go to college. Happens when kids get their driver's license is actually the key. And so what happens then is, especially the older one wants to go and drive all the other ones around. Mom has now, at 50 years old, more experience, more resources, more connections, more skills, now also more time than she's ever had before in her life, or at least in her career. And so this changes everything. And she starts to, as the kids move out of the house, why is she spending? Marketers thought, oh, they're not spending any money. They're old. And so they don't need any new stuff. They have already bought everything. And no, guess what? Now I can buy furniture for me, not for the kids to not break. I can buy a car. I can buy a cute little bug if I want it. I don't have to have a van to transport the soccer team. I can buy a sports car. You know, I can buy for me. I can have what I want finally. It's not all about the family. I can go back to my dance lessons, my piano lessons, or I can start a new business. You know, I can do so many things now that I couldn't before. And this involves a lot of spending. And people tend to move houses, replace their furniture, okay, and change their lifestyle significantly once the kids are not the all-encompassing focus that they had to be when they were younger. So it's a huge opportunity for marketers. And I think marketers, when I have spoken about this many times, it's interesting because I bet your audience will relate to this. The marketers come after marketing to women presentation, marketers come up to me and they go, this is great. We want to work with you, la, la, la. After the marketing to primetime women presentation, which is for women who are over 50 to 75 specifically, they're like, the marketers aren't the ones who come up, it's the women who come up. The women in the audience who are in the corporate audience who are in third quarter, as now some people are starting to call it, third quarter to differentiate from fourth quarter people of age, that people come up, the women say, oh my God, finally, I've been trying to explain this to my company, that this is where the money is. And for some reason, they seem to think like, yeah, that's sweet, honey. You know, I mean, I'm exaggerating. They say that, and I'm not saying they're diminishing, but they should be jumping on the freaking bandwagon, and they're not. And do you think I'm a little frustrated by it? I don't know.
Me too. Well, the other thing I had heard before the pandemic, and I don't know if it's changed, is that women are going to hold 70% of the wealth for the next 2 generations.
Let me think about this. If it's for the next 2 generations, women already hold the majority of wealth. And are expected to get another, what I had read was about 50% increase in wealth. So does that, anyway, it's around 70%. It's a big number. Even the financial services industry, which was the first actually 20 years ago to focus on marketing to women. My theory is because their job to know where the money is, and they were the first to recognize that women had money.
Sure.
And now I lost my train of thought on that one. What was the question about?
Oh, it's just I know that women have a lot of wealth. In addition to buying things, they also invest money. They also, right? They buy stock.
They do. They invest a lot of money. The thing that people maybe don't understand, I see a lot of stuff in the financial services industry about, oh, the millennials are going to be inheriting the biggest transfer of wealth in history, la, la, la. I don't know who these people are talking to. It's not the millennials who are inheriting right now. It's the boomers who are inheriting. The boomers who are inheriting from their older parents. And so the people who are hellbound for leather after millennials, knock yourself out, because, you know, you're the person who takes your job after you is going to have an easy life, but you're not going to get the returns until, you know, good 10 years down the road. If you focus on the people who have money now instead of the people who will have money later, you could get a promotion yourself, you know? And so I think that there's a surprising lack of insight of the data that's readily available in the market. And people are still saying, millennials, we got to focus on them because they've got all the money. Where do the women get their money from? The women, first of all, the baby boomer generation is the first generation in history. And we're living it, so we don't appreciate how radically different this generation, baby boomer women are, and subsequent generations. Before baby boomer women, okay, women did not have the right to, they didn't go to college in the same numbers as men. All right. So this is the first generation of women that has gone to college in greater numbers than their brothers have. Thank you. They have the majority of college degrees in this country and have had since about the 1980s. They have the majority of graduate degrees too, for that matter. They're definitely better educated. And so part of it is from earnings. Part of it is from investments. And candidly, a lot of it is from inheritances at this age, because as I said, it's the time when boomers are inheriting from their silent generation parents.
Yeah.
But even that has been kind of underappreciated, because it's like the inheritance somehow in people's minds skips from the head of household, being the dad, to the kids. And what really happens is, first, the household inherits from both sides of the family, his dad, my dad, right? His parents, my parents. And then she inherits from him. So for probably about 10 years, that tends to be, the difference, because women marry older than they are, and because women have a longer life expectancy, 10 years where she has the combined wealth of both of the families in her control. And the research shows conclusively that 70% of widows leave their financial advisor within 1 year. So just from the financial advice community, and when you're talking about investments, that's a very dramatic statistic that the industry is not reacting to for some reason. Well, I know why, because they're not used to, they don't know what to do. They do what they're doing very well by just doing the same old, I guess. And so they really haven't gotten very motivated, despite the fact that there's quite a bit of information about it. And in the other areas, what I have seen happen is that many industries have become so much better, frankly, about the way they depict women, and the roles in which they depict them, and the way that they are recognizing women's influence in the buying process, but they don't recognize it the right way, because many of the big purchase decisions, Donna, are at the action point, at the decision point. They're joint purchases between the husband and the wife, if it's a couple. Sorry, I tend to talk in couples because most people in this age group are couples. And so what happens is, though, that the woman of the family, people don't realize, they think influence, he picks the car, he picks the boat, he picks the new house, and she says if she likes it a lot. No, wrong. No. What happens is she decides if it's time to buy a new car, because she manages the budget. And she says, honey, we've been thinking about this for a couple of years. We should go buy this year. So she's the one who does the research online. And she says, honey, you know what? I think we should look at, we happen to be a kind of family that would look at Toyotas, Nissans, and I don't know, Hondas. Okay. And so I said, we'll go to these three dealerships, and that's where we'll go. And if he has a strong point of view and he wants to go at Audi or whatever, Beamer, fine, we'll go too, but we're definitely going to the three I want. And then I will do the pros and cons, and I'll say, okay, I think this, and here's my reasoning. And the reason I do that is because I have many more considerations when I buy stuff than he does. Men tend to make top of mind executive summary type of decisions more often than women. Women tend to look at the executive summary and then read the full report and do the analysis. Okay. So she has pretty much narrowed things down. By the time they decide, first of all, whether it's a Toyota, Honda, or Nissan or whatever, the only reason that they're looking at those three is because she said, let's go look at these three, because she did the research. Sure. That is influence of primary magnitude here. It means you need to affect her before you influence him. And this is very clear, and companies are slow to change. So I would have to say there are still many opportunities for many companies to do better.
Wow. You've got such a valuable message. Companies really need it. Okay. So if you have an avatar for this group of women, what are some of the biggest needs or pains, and how can we best serve them to build our businesses?
And do you mean PrimeTime Women specifically?
Yeah, let's start there.
What are their biggest needs? I don't think their needs are that radically different than younger women. They just tend to make decisions a little bit differently, generally because they tend to be more decisive. Even they have more influence than younger women in the household, in a married household, because she now most often has lived with him for 20 years or so. She knows him and she doesn't need to consult as much. So she's making more independent decisions usually. And I don't know that I would say that she needs a different kind of TV or a different kind of any kind of product. There aren't any specific needs that I would say need to be addressed. I would say it's more in the nature of an opportunity for companies to realize that there's a whole need set, a whole need segment out there that has more money than the other need segments. And with marketing to women, I guess I haven't said this before on this podcast, marketing to women is not about getting them to buy more stuff. It's about getting them to buy your brand of stuff.
Right.
They are already going to spend more money. Okay. They're already going to buy a new car, go on vacation, purchase a cruise, la, la, la. The question is, if you want them to buy your brand instead of the others, then you need to market directly to her. Right? You shouldn't just be marketing to young people and then, the older people fall where they fall. No, this is where the money is. Market to the people with the money.
Right. Do you find that there are kind of key messages that resonate with them more than other populations?
No, because I would say more than other women, not more than other women. Again, there are messages that resonate with women differently than they resonate with men. I think those same messages resonate with women who are in prime time. All right, that you and I think that I think those same messages resonate, but it's a question of how you present them. If you present them. Financial services, sometimes the language they use in their research, for example, sorry, I keep coming back to that, but it's very top of mind for me at the moment. Sure. The research that they do and they report out says stuff like women are less confident about finances. Women are risk averse and must be educated on how higher risk results in higher reward. And I'm like, okay, if you talk to me about, I need education from you, you are not going to get a great response. All right.
Right.
So what you want to talk to, first of all, risk averse you want to talk from my perspective. And I have always said this isn't just Marti Barletta. What is prudence? It's not in the financial services language, it's risk aversion. All right. In the woman's language, it's prudence. It's doing due diligence. It's checking things out, doing your research. So the tone in which you say, go ahead and follow this is different. And that's what they need to learn is the priorities are different, not the products.
Right. And it'd be interesting. We're going to have everybody get on later. We can have this conversation with the group as well. Let's see here. So women do have this tremendous economic power. I think that we don't use it to our own advantage as well as we should. And I don't know that I know exactly why. Purse Power was founded to try to get them to help themselves by using their purchasing power. Do you have any insight on why we don't do that? Why we don't take advantage of the power we've got?
I think because it's probably, it depends on where you want to think about power. I don't really think about power in the sense of, okay, Samsung, you better make a brighter screen for me because I want brighter colors. It's not economic power that's going to change product development too often. There are some products that are. Automobiles, for example, should be designed differently for women than for men. And they're designed differently they're designed to accommodate smaller people from larger people, but there are a few things that they could do that would be more comfortable for women. I worked with Volvo a little bit on that at one time, but they're not critical things. Women can get their needs met without having anybody market to them. All right. And I think that's why there hasn't been a push in most industries, certainly in some industries or in some health care situations, in some, what else am I wanting to think about where their needs are not being met? I think, these are big areas, but specific. So for example, healthcare and the sandwich generation and taking care of your parents and setting up the finances, that is something that hits a lot of women in prime time, because just as your kids are getting organized to, move on to college or move on to their next stage. At the same time, all of a sudden your parents need more help. And so you need a lot of support there. And there's just as much support for elder care as there was for childcare, which means none. So that would be, the huge need that I would point out. Other than that, they have the products are out there. Their needs are being met. The gap is that the marketers are not recognizing and using it to their own advantage, frankly, to get more business for their brand. Because like I said, women are already buying. The trick is to get them to buy yours.
Right. It's interesting because in the olden days, they would just make things pink and then try to sell them to women.
Oh, I wish it were the olden days, Donna. Have you been on Amazon? I know you have. You can still find the examples of the tricycle that's pink being $50 more than the tricycle that's red, white, and blue. So, it's not the olden days. Women, to some extent, are a little bit. Well, I don't even get that. I really don't. I don't understand. It doesn't cost any more to paint the bike pink. I totally don't understand the thinking, never have. So
I don't know that you can justify it. Okay. So Nan's trying to help clarify my question. So when I was asking about avatars, challenges and pain points, it's because we realize our products and services have to solve the problem or challenges that the women have. So that's a piece of it. I was trying to figure out if we were going to grow our businesses, do you see trends in what women want more of?
No, I mean, I don't really see trends in what women want more of. Women are getting what they want. Okay. And what they want is to be depicted the way they really are. They don't want advertising that shows their, and it's still there. AARP should be the biggest magazine in the country. It's because it's advertising directly to this target market. And AARP, by the way, their magazine has gotten really much better. When you start seeing people like Robert Downey Jr. on the cover of AARP, it's not your grandfather's AARP anymore. I suppose to the millennials, it probably still is. But for those of us who grew up with, Tom Cruise and people like that, those are the people that are showing up on AARP magazine now. And so it should be full of great marketing, and it's not. And I think that they must still be having trouble attracting the marketing that they deserve, because I still see a ton of Adirondack chairs on the beach at sunset marketing, and that's just totally a complete miss versus this target audience, complete miss. And to have the attitude, it's not that women can't get what they want. We can get what we want, but the marketers are not recognizing the opportunity.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's an opportunity for us, right? If we can figure out how to capitalize on it.
And that's how you make more money. It's not that you get them to buy something that they've never bought before. They buy your version of it. That's the more money part.
Yeah. In all of the books you've written, all the talks you've given, what are your kind of biggest insider secrets? Can you just kind of identify the top things that people need to be doing differently to market to primetime women?
Well, many of these things are kind of the same as marketing to women. All right. So when people say, you talk about in the olden days, people, the extent of the wisdom that people had to offer on marketing to women was women are all about relationships. And so be nice to them. And I'm kind of like, no. First of all, relationship with your sales guy, with your waiter is really different than with your insurance guy or your doctor. All right. So no. And what do we mean by women are all about relationships? Well, it is true. Women are more about people than men are. Men will want to know what is the horsepower, I can't even talk cars. What can I talk? They want to know the specifics. They want to know the product specifics. Men decide, one of the biggest differences, men decide up front what it is they want, go out and find it, buy it. All right. Yeah. Women decide up front, what problem is it that they're trying to solve? And then seek options. And they will seek options online, and they will seek options in the real world. And then what men will say is, okay, the most important thing is that this car has to be, 6 piston, 6 cylinder, and it has to be a sedan because I drive my clients around in it. All right. And then they don't care what color it is. They don't care what they do, but you know, that's not part of their, that's not part of their initial considerations. They got a lot of flexibility on color. They got a lot of flexibility on interiors. They got a lot of flexibility on features, as long as it has the top 3 things they're looking for. Women are like, okay, here's the top 3 things I'm looking for. Now, here's 10 options that all have those top 3 things.
Yes.
And now I'm going to decide amongst them. Why? Because that's a smart thing to do. If you go deep down and you figure it out, you make the best use of your total budget, which I am in charge of, by the way. And that's the way we make the best use of it. Is I really am proud of my ability to find the best value and to locate it and to get the best value. Right. So men tend to be, I want this, I found it, I buy it. Women are, I got a problem to solve. One of the things that, little anecdote I tell to make the point, when men need to repay, let's say they want to both buy a pair of black pants, super basic. Men say, I'm going to go to the same store that I bought my favorite black pants from 10 years ago, and I'm going to buy, I think, maybe 2 more pairs of black pants, those same black pants. They go, buy them, leave the mall, go home, watch the game, right? Women say, I need to go to a party on Friday night. All right. And actually, I was thinking I could use, you know, I'm just going to go shop. And she goes out and she looks and she thinks, actually, you know, I don't really have any black pants since we moved. I threw them all out. So I'm going to look at this pair, which is really nice because you can travel in this pair. And this pair is a little fancier and better cut. I could wear this on Saturday parties as well as Friday evenings. And this pair has a matching jacket. And so that would be really convenient for me. And do I just go buy one of those? No. You know what I think? I think these 3 options are all great. I wonder, before I make a final decision, can I find one that travels, would work on a Saturday night, and has a matching jacket? And she will go out and look for those. All right. And so her decision is iterative. And she goes looking for the best combination. You know, it's called value. It is value. But what it is she does more thinking about it up front. And then she's flexible while she's looking. But then she buys the one that she has properly thought through, done due diligence, done all the work. I know it sounds it is a little oversimplistic because of the format in which I'm talking to you, because we have to be a little quicker probably than I am. But the difference is that men decide what they want up front and they go out and seek it. And consequently, the salesperson or the in-store person or whatever has very little chance to influence it. Women, when they go out looking, they seek information first, as do men, but they seek the information they have a longer list. They have a longer list. All right. So, and because they have a longer list, the smaller attributes. So you've probably heard how in the olden days, people would say, you know, car salespeople would say, men come in and they want to talk about the engine. Women come in, they want to talk about the cup holders. And I'm like, you know, your takeaway from that is that women only care about cup holders because they're too dumb to know about engines. My takeaway from that is that she didn't show up at your dealership until she's already read all the engine stuff. And now she wants to see the parts that I sit in the car, you know, which are important to her because she's going to be doing all the kids driving. Not as important to him. He's not going to be in her car that often. Right. So, and even his own car, he doesn't have usually the multiplicity of uses that she does because she tends to be the one who does most of the kid-related driving, you know?
So tell me what we do to market to them then, because they're gonna compare options, they're gonna analyze their choices. What does that mean for marketers?
I think that you present your marketing in terms of the human benefits. I feel funny saying this on an audience that is perhaps mostly women. I don't know, Donna, because to us, it sounds like I'm not even saying anything. Of course, you focus on the human benefits, not the product features. We all know that. Yeah, but if you look at the car ads, if you look at the electronics ads, if you look at all of those ads, they don't, because they think they're marketing to men and they are focusing on the tech, the features. All right. So focus on the human benefits instead of doing bullet points that list the features, which men like because bullet points, right? Executive summary. present your information in the form of stories, in the form of anecdotes, in the form of quotes. Marty was looking for a new personal car after the kids grew up, and she had loved her old van, but she doesn't want to drive a van anymore. She wants to drive something cute and easy to park. And so she walked into our dealership, and I talked to her, and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, this is not an anecdote for an ad, but the point being that you can, I know, here's a good one. Golf courses. Mm-hmm. Golf courses normally advertised, designed by status. First of all, status is more important to men than to women. It's designed by a very famous golfer, professional golfer. It has the following specs. It costs this much. You should come here because you get these perks. For women, and also, by the way, pictures of the golf courses, no people on them, pure. You don't want to pollute it with people, right? With women, the South Carolina did a great ad. They do 10 really good ads. And they had a picture of a golf course with a family golfing on it. It was a father, mother, and a couple of kids. And it was a quote up on top of the golf course. And it said, you know, the day my daughter hit her first hole in one, she was so ecstatic. She said, "Mom, I'm never going to forget this day." And that was the copy for the ad. That was the copy for the ad. And what the reason was is South Carolina was trying to attract families to South Carolina because they were sick of the good old boys. No, they weren't sick of. They wanted to amplify and get more customers, and they wanted to bring families down instead of foursomes of men, instead of just foursomes of men, I should say. And so when they were marketing to women in women's magazines, they changed the way they positioned golf. Golf is not about competing with yourself. It's not about whatever golf is for guys that makes them break their golf sticks over their knees. It is about a healthy, active way to spend time with our kids. All right. So it's a difference of positioning. You have the same product, golf course. You have or South Carolina golf courses, I should say. You have the same product, but when you're trying to attract a different market, you talk about it completely differently. When you're talking to women, talk about human benefits, use stories, anecdotes, quotes, not bullet points, and recognize that whatever information you provide in an ad, provide a ton more of it for them to do the deep dive on if you have that kind of a complex product, because she's going to want all the information before you even make the short list, let alone her visiting your dealership. So I don't know, does that help?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right, you guys go ahead and take off your, put your microphones back on, get yourself back on camera. And I'm going to ask one more question. Take your mask off, and then it's your turn. So let me just ask her one more thing. All right. So with all the turbulence in the world right now, do you think that women business owners, women marketers have unique advantages? And if so, how do we capitalize on those strengths? And then I'll hand it over to everybody else to ask questions.
I do think women have unique strengths. I don't know how to capitalize on them because, as you have found, Donna, it's kind of difficult to round them up. We're a little like herding cats, we women, because we have our fingers in lots and lots of pies already. And I think that women identify when they're buying for their families as, you know, they don't really think of themselves as having special needs. They don't have special needs. They just have normal needs for women, and we're buying 80% of the stuff, you know? So I think that for women business owners, there is potentially an advantage, but we don't seem to leverage it as much as we could. And Donna, I honestly don't know why that is either. I think that maybe we see it as something that is we're getting our needs met, even though we're not putting a lot of time and effort into it. Getting organized would require somebody to put a lot of time and effort into it. And for me to change my time commitments to get together like this is asking something. So I have to be pretty specific about what it is that I get from networking with other women business owners versus the chamber. what you get from it, as we've all known, when we go to any kind of a meeting or conference with women, women connect with each other. I was going to say 10 times faster than men, but it's really more like 100 times.
Yeah,
so you could go to a women's conference, and I advise male financial advisors or male to go to attend women's conferences, women surgeons, women car dealers, women McDonald's owners, franchisees. And they're kind of like, well, won't the women, won't I stand out like a sore thumb? I'm like, yes. And that's a good thing for you, because women will immediately come in, they will support you, and but you have to be ready for when you go to a meeting of women. You could be standing there in a conversation talking about business, and just like that, somebody could say, yeah, I was at that last conference with Motorsports Association. I got to run in my pantyhose. I had to go into the bathroom. I borrowed some from the other woman in the next, they can get very personal very fast, because women are comfortable with each other very fast. I use a deliberately kind of stereotypical example, because women will talk about deeply personal things very quickly. Women coming out of a conference always want to stay connected. Conferences never keep them connected, which I've always thought is a huge mistake. Any conference that women have attended together, there should be an email list for anybody who wants to stay in touch, because women will tell all the organizers, oh, that was so great, we should stay in touch, let's do it again next quarter. And they never have a plan for continuity. They only do the one conference a year, and then they drop it. And that's a real opportunity, because I worked with one client, and they did put together, it was a women's executive. This was for a wealth management, and they had a women's executive. I forget, sort of an association, but they called it something better than that. I forget right now. And what they did is they brought senior executive women together from Houston, in cities, in 8 cities around the country, not all at the same time. Brought them in, and they said, okay, we're going to have like this top woman speaker from Exxon come and speak. She's the COO or whatever. And 300 women showed up, and my client was astonished. She said, my people said we'd never get 300 of these really senior executive women all together. And I said, well, I could have predicted that you would, because senior executive women hardly ever have a chance to get together. And there aren't that many. We have the Chicago Women's Forum, I think, here. These are all senior women. You have to qualify for it. And they have things like, if one of the members calls another member, they're asked to respond within 24 hours. You kind of have to have a set of expectations of what you want. Boy, am I digressing. So this wealth management thing, they got 300 women in all the cities, and the smile sheets afterwards, the women were like, this is so great. Make sure you invite me to the next one. Do you want more information on this company and its wealth management options? And 16% of them said yes. Now, I don't know about your other industries, but for a smile sheet to have 16% of the people, a smile sheet being an evaluation, did you like it? How good was it? What would you rate it? For them to say, yeah, sure, send me information on your products. It's kind of unheard of. In terms of response rates, it's unbelievable. And these women wanted to stay connected. Unfortunately, my client had sort of only gotten approval for the project that year. And so what happened the following year was independent, because they had to put together a new budget. And that's a shame, because they had 300 women in 8 cities that were interested in staying connected with them,
Yeah, that's a good
and
reminder.
They didn't recognize that women's conferences have so much more to offer than men's conferences do.
Yeah, great point. Okay, I'm going to open it up, guys. What questions or comments do you have?
Marty, you just made a comment that really appealed to me. When you have a women's networking group, because I just attended one yesterday, and made really good connections with 3 people. And so I immediately contacted them after I got back yesterday, and I heard back from 2 of them, but one I haven't. And so I love what you said, that they had a rule at this one that you responded within 24 hours. That really appeals to me. That makes the integrity of the group. That's terrific.
It's the only group that I've ever heard of that has that. Not that I know that many top executive groups, but I think it makes all the difference because it bonds you and it bonds you and you can count on them. It says you can count on me, and that's important.
Right. It builds trust. Yes.
Yeah. Good point. Very good. Okay. Other thoughts or questions, comments?
I do. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Deborah. I'll do it after you.
I do have a question. It's not fully formed, but as I listen to you, I feel like the world is marketing to an antiquated sense of who women are, like marketing to the past, right? And I feel like women like you are leading in terms of we need to be in a different place to really market to the whole woman, to market to her complexities, to market to her sense of being in the driver's seat. So I feel like you're sort of on the front lines of that. What's it going to take? How long is it going to take to really align the marketing world with as women 50 and up who want to live full, vibrant lives and feel like there's a lot ahead? Because I think it's going to come. I just don't know what it's going to take and how long it's going to take.
Deborah, I believe everything you just said, and I totally get what you're saying. The only hesitation I have is because there's so little movement, for example, in childcare, which was absolutely, when the boomer generation was young, there was a desperate need for childcare and no freaking body reacted. Sorry for pounding on the table, but I feel about it, and so I fear that the same thing could happen with the issues of Q3 women, primetime women. There's a tendency in our culture to discount women in the first place and to discount older people in the second place. So double strike, right? In fact, one of the most frequent comments you hear from women in their 50s and 60s is it's a shock when all of a sudden you become invisible. It really is true. It's true not only to the point if anybody thinks we're talking about not getting wolf whistles on the street, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you go into a shop and the sales clerks keep chatting. I mean, I know sales clerks aren't what sales clerks were in the olden times either, but when you and then when somebody else walks in, it's like, yes, can I help you? I mean, it's kind of clear sometimes that it has to do with who you are and how invisible you are. People don't think that you have a lot of that you represent a lot of opportunity, I guess, and it's ignorance mostly. Ignorance. Wow. And I wish I could believe that things were going to change. I really do. But I think it's going to take some, to be honest, well, I don't know. I guess the context that my mind is in, it's going to take some sort of, I think it's going to take something at the top. I think we are getting more and more women at the top. And I think we're seeing more women, there are more women who are vice presidents, who are of marketing. So marketing is an area that's got a lot of women in it. Finance is an area, actually. Most chief financial officers are women, believe it or not. So there are some areas where there are high concentrations of powerful women. My hope, Deborah, is global. When you look at Ursula von der Leyen and Angela Merkel and well, let's don't look at Liz Truss, but there are some very powerful women in some of the other countries that candidly, they all got the Equal Rights Amendment before we did. So we shouldn't assume that we're in the lead on this most of the time, because I would have to say at this present time, I would say we're lagging. So I hope that you're right. I hope there will be a response. There certainly should be. There's plenty of money. There's plenty of market response. There's plenty of information. There's no reason there shouldn't be an upswelling of support of people who are dying to make $1 million off of this market. But that should have been easy for childcare too, that should have been easy, and it didn't happen. And so I wish I could tell you. I wish I could say yes. Yeah. I wish I could say it's going to happen, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we're closing in on the end of the program here. And Nan, do you want to quickly say what you were going to say?
Well, the invisibility issue, which I think ties right into my significance after 60 issue, is what are women doing about it? I mean, they're shocked. What are they doing? What's their next step when they encounter that? Are they retooling their mindset? Are they
No,
being?
I think they're ignoring it, to be honest with you. I
Okay.
think they're ignoring it. And I think that's very healthy. Personally, I think it's healthy. I think it takes a bit of, I think they're saying the world clearly has not gotten on board. Miss, can I have some help, please? You know, sir, I need you over here, you know? So I think that they deal with it. They're not prepared to, unless you're prepared to commit to something like what Donna is talking to and what Deborah's talking about. We have to get organized. It's not going to happen just on a woman by woman basis. And I think in order for us to get organized, it's going to be tricky. These are rocky times these days in terms of, but actually, Donna, to your point, that is another thing that has surprised me, because I think women could pull together politically much more easily than men could. And so we have all this political division in the United States right now. You see occasionally people report, the newspapers report on initiatives by women legislators in Congress, and they are much more successful in working across the aisle.
Right.
You know, and so I think I'm being very facetious here, but heartfelt, and which I say, I wish we would just elect women to run the world, because I think that our style of working together is, first of all, we've, as Liz Cheney said on one of her speeches, she was talking about her role in the hearings, of course, and she said, and this is to all the little girls and women out there, she said, I want you to know that a lot of these hearings has been thanks to the courage of women who have been willing to come forward, Republican women who have been willing to come forward and say what they've seen. And she said, I want to see more women in positions of political power, because I don't know if you've noticed, but so far the men aren't doing a very good job. And I thought, Liz, I wish I could clip that and distribute it all over the world, because if that is the truth. And I think, I think some sort of motivation like that would be more of a call to connect for women than economic power, honestly, because I think women are getting their product needs met. The products are out there, except for the obvious ones that are only for us, like taking care of kids and taking care of parents. Who needs that? But I think that in terms of purchasing products and stuff like that, we can handle it without any special products. We don't need special products. And if you don't have the sense to market to us, we'll still find the best product for us. But in terms of, pulling us together on stuff, I think it's going to take a higher order benefit to pull. I think it's going to take save the world. I think if somebody would get out there and say women can save the world, I think that would have a shot.
You might have a shot. All right, guys, we've run out of time, and I'm so sorry, but this has been a wonderful program. Thank you so much, Marti, for being here. Any final comments on your part about things you want us to learn from you?
Yeah, I want you, Donna, to keep doing what you're doing, because I'm so excited about it. You are absolutely right. The reason that I focused on marketing to women was my agenda to help improve the perception and experience of women everywhere. And I focused on marketing. I focused on money because I figured that was the best way to get the attention of men. And I think, that is why they read the book. They read the book about how can I get more money, and they learned about women are different from men. And it's not just because they're trying to be men and failing at it. We like the way we are. We think our way is better.
Right.
And if you would listen to our way, that would be two ways of thinking about something, and that would be better. So
that would be helpful. All right. Very good. Thank you again. I'm just going to quickly tell you guys who's coming up on the guests, and then we'll end the show. So on November 8th, I've got Dominique Reese. She is leading the DEI initiative at Plug and Play. Plug and Play is one of the top launch pads for businesses out in Silicon Valley, and she's going to be amazing. On November 18th, I have Felicia Brown. She's the director of community initiatives with AARP. So she's going to be on the show on the 18th. Yep. And then on December 2nd, I have Alan Weiss. He's the author of $1 Million Coaching. So he'll be on the program as well. So that's what's coming up. I appreciate you being here. Thank you again.
It was great to talk with all of you. I really appreciate meeting you all.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, please remember purse power. We have it. Let's use it. Hope to see you next Friday. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.